Welcome to Scrum Masters Elite_UK, your destination for elite rugby updates, deep insights, and sports inspiration. Subscribe to the channel now.
When it comes to the England squad's current situation ahead of the Nations Championship, what concerns me most is not simply the growing injury list, but the feeling of a team caught between pressure, expectation, and rebuilding. This is no longer just a technical rugby story, it reflects the harsh reality of elite sport, where success and crisis can sometimes be separated by only a few weeks. Steve Borthwick is clearly entering an extremely difficult period, after what many considered England's worst Six Nations campaign in history. With only one win from 5 matches, the team desperately needed stability to regain confidence. Yet instead of preparing with a full-strength squad for the crucial test matches against South Africa, Fiji, and Argentina, he now faces a wave of injuries across several key positions. This highlights the immense pressure carried by a head coach, not only delivering tactics and results, but also maintaining morale during adversity. What stands out is that the injuries are not limited to one specific area, they affect the entire squad. From front row players like Will Stewart, Finn Baxter, and Trevor Davison to experienced names such as Elliot Daly and Ben Curry, along with other important players like Will Muir and Bevan Rodd, nearly every lineup has been impacted. This shows how physically demanding modern rugby has become. Players compete at extremely high intensity throughout the season, constantly absorbing heavy collisions while trying to maintain peak performance. With increasingly packed schedules, injuries are becoming almost unavoidable. I think many fans focus only on the final result on the field and forget that behind those performances are bodies worn down over time. A player may appear strong and composed on match day while secretly dealing with pain or incomplete recovery. Cases like Finn Baxter requiring additional surgery despite hopes of an early return show how complicated recovery in professional sport truly is. Sometimes rushing back too quickly can make the problem even worse. Personally, I feel sorry for players forced into long-term absences precisely when the national team needs them most. For a professional athlete, missing major tournaments is not only about losing playing opportunities, it can affect confidence, squad status, and sometimes even an entire career. People often speak about the glory of sport, but rarely about the helplessness a player feels while watching teammates battle from the sidelines. I believe that is one of the greatest psychological challenges any athlete can face. However, viewed differently, this difficult period could also become an opportunity for England to rebuild. In sport, many great teams have emerged stronger from injury crises. When senior players are absent, younger or less recognized players gain opportunities to prove themselves. That can create fresh energy, renewed competition, and potentially the beginning of a new cycle for the national team.
The return of Tom Curry, George Martin, and Emmanuel Faye-Waboso offers at least some positive signs. What impresses me most is the mental strength behind these comebacks. Returning after a long injury absence is not merely about physical recovery, it is a victory of determination and resilience. During rehabilitation, players must overcome fear of re-injury, pressure to regain form, the feeling of being left behind, and public doubt. Every return to the field is a journey worthy of respect. Through England's situation, I also realize that fans sometimes need to judge coaches more fairly. Steve Borthwick certainly carries responsibility for results, but it would be unfair to blame every failure solely on tactics or coaching ability. When a team loses multiple key players at once, every plan is disrupted. Building chemistry, testing strategies, and maintaining consistency become far more difficult. In moments like these, what matters is not only immediate results, but also how the team responds to adversity. I believe this is the moment when England's true character will be tested. A strong team is not one that never struggles, but one that knows how to rise after setbacks. People naturally believe in a team when it is winning, but real character is revealed during periods of defeat and uncertainty. If the players can remain united, continue fighting, and improve game by game, they can still rebuild trust with supporters. Another aspect that caught my attention is Borthwick's handling of Maro Itoje and Ben Spencer. The consideration of giving them rest shows that modern rugby is beginning to value long-term workload management instead of simply maximizing players in the short term. That shift is essential. For years, elite sport carried the mentality that players should compete at all costs. But reality has shown that without proper workload management, athletes may face serious long-term health consequences after retirement.
This also carries an important lesson for society beyond sport. In modern life, many people push themselves too hard while neglecting both physical and mental health. Often, we only stop when serious problems appear. The injury struggles within the England squad remind us that nobody can sustain peak performance forever without proper rest. Long-term endurance matters more than short-term sacrifices. For supporters, I think the most important qualities right now are patience and perspective. In the age of social media, every defeat is followed by intense criticism. But sport is not a video game where everything works perfectly according to plan. Injuries, form, mentality, and countless other factors influence results. Supporting a team is not only about celebrating victories, it is also about standing with them during their hardest moments. I also feel that the media and the public should view athletes more humanely. Behind every famous name is a real person facing real pressure. An injured player does not only suffer physically, they may also struggle with uncertainty, anxiety about the future, or fear of being replaced. If we judge them only through a few disappointing performances or results, we risk forgetting the silent sacrifices they have already made. On a personal level, the greatest lesson I take from this story is the value of adaptability. In life, plans do not always unfold the way we expect. Unexpected setbacks inevitably force us to change direction. What matters is not complaining about difficult circumstances, but how we respond to them. England may not currently possess its strongest squad, but they still have to move forward. In many ways, that mirrors real life. Nobody ever begins or continues their journey under perfect conditions.
I have also learned that comebacks are often far more meaningful than they appear on the surface. Players like Tom Curry and George Martin are not simply returning from injuries, they are returning after battling their own limits for months. That reminds me that setbacks and interruptions are not the end. Sometimes difficult periods are exactly what help people grow stronger, wiser, and more appreciative of the opportunities they still have. If England can overcome this period, I believe they may gain something more valuable than short-term victories. These challenges could become the foundation for stronger team character, opportunities for a new generation of players, and a deeper understanding of squad depth for the coaching staff. In sport, some setbacks that initially appear negative later become defining turning points. Ultimately, what I feel most strongly from this story is that sport always reflects life itself. Sometimes everything flows smoothly, while at other times difficulties arrive one after another, leaving people exhausted and under pressure. What defines true value is not avoiding failure, but continuing to move forward despite imperfect circumstances. That is what makes sport such a powerful source of inspiration for communities around the world. For me personally, England's situation is far more than a news story about injuries or poor form. It is a reminder of perseverance, human limitation, collective responsibility, and the importance of facing hardship with calmness rather than despair. And perhaps it is precisely during the hardest moments that true character becomes most visible.
Thank you for being part of Scrum Masters Elite_UK. See you in the next video, where resilience is forged through adversity.